My name is Omni. It is spelled Omonigho Arenrin, but everyone calls me Omni. And I'm one of the senior clinical embryologists at Jessup Fertility, which is based in Sheffield. I've worked in Jessup Fertility now this is my 16th year, and I've been in my profession for 21 years. So I'm just going to talk about reflective practice as a tool in enhancing learning and professional growth, but from my own experience whilst on the HSST. So I'll just give you a broad overview, sort of like a background of my work environment. So our assisted conception unit here in Sheffield, under Sheffield Teaching Hospitals, we're a small unit, about 50 staff. Across 5 departments. So we've got the medical team, the nursing team, the healthcare scientists, which I fall under, the counseling team, and the administrative team. And we engage constantly with patients, gamete donors, suppliers, regulators, and management. So together, we're all stakeholders, and we work closely together for the benefits of all stakeholders. There's two key things that relate to us and also relate to reflective practice. First one is the fact that we are regulated, licensed, and inspected by the Human Fertilization and Embryology Authority. So we'll call that the HFEA. And to give all stakeholders confidence in our service, we do have a quality management system. So our certification is ISO 9001 2015. Between these two bodies, we have things like looking or concentrating or investigating more into incidents, near misses, or trends of events that are happening in our unit. And we also focus on improvements through looking through our audit reports, our surveys that go out, questionnaires that go out, and then our risk and opportunity register. So with incidents, for example, and trends, if we're having a reoccurrence of our patients taking their drugs wrong, that needs looking into because that's a trend. If we have a survey come back and patients, even if it's just one patient, has put in a feedback that we need to pay attention to, we would look into that a bit more. And again, it's just us looking to make sure that we are paying attention, we're listening to our stakeholders, and we're trying to do everything possible to improve on our services. So it's everyone on board. So all staff at Jessup Fertility do engage with reflective practice. Now, if my personal everyday reflective practice engagements, I've just grouped them or put them into individual, group, and structured module. So in the individual group, you would have personal journaling. So at home, I have different types of journals, the ones that will ask you what was the best thing that happened to you today, or what was the worst thing that happened to you today, and how do you feel right now? And you fill these forms in or these books in. There's also self-assessments. Everyone employed by a health service, you would have an annual appraisal. I'm one of those people that does not just write in the box provided. Mine would extend from 3 to 5 pages because, again, I reflect on the entire 365 days and sort of make that into a really, really good story for my line manager to review. I'm involved in CPD reflexive reviews as well. When we attend an event, be it a STEM activity or a teaching, I would come back and put that on my CPD file, which is actually separate from my one file. And it's what was the event? Why did I attend the event? What was the impact of attending the event? What did I gain from the event? How can I apply what I've learned into my daily practice in the service that I deliver? And then one thing that's common to all of us is the one file e-portfolio. When you upload a submission, I would tend to reflect on my submission and give my point of view so that my supervisor will see things from my point of view and then they give me some feedback. With the group reflective practice, I'm involved in the multidisciplinary team. which is all 5 of us, as I mentioned in the previous slide. So in the MDT, we have discussions on all our patients one at a time, making sure that we have a plan for the treatment journey with us. And when I was in business school during the HSST, I joined an action learning set group, and there we present wicked problems. So something that like a problem you're really trying to solve. And in that group, they'll ask you open-ended questions. And whilst you're answering these open-ended questions, you start to come up with ways that you can approach or plan to solve these problems. And that's you actually reflecting. We all engage in multi-source feedback. My understanding is for the STPs is sort of mandatory for you to do this through your training. With the HSST is optional. So but we all do engage with it. I did one December last year, and I went beyond my specialty, which is reproductive science. I decided to send out 30 that covered all the different departments in my units because I just wanted to have a feel of what everyone perceived. And out of 30, I got 22 back before the closing dates. And I've written a review on one file for my line manager to give me feedback on. And then I've also put in here after action reviews and SWAN huddle. So the after action reviews, AARs and SWAN huddle are more of the wider trust engagements. The medical team and the nursing team are very used to doing AARs and SWAN huddles, and us scientists got on board as well, because we all work as one body. It's under the patient safety incident response framework, and I talk a little bit more on that on 2 slides down. So for the structured model, for things that I'm personally involved in where my feelings and I really need to process properly, as Jess mentioned, one of them is the Gibbs reflective cycle. And then where I'm a bit more objective about reviewing an event or an experience, I would use the Rolf framework. And I'll just talk a bit more about these two in the next slide. So on here, the Gibbs is broken down into 6 steps. You have the description of your experience or the event, your feelings with regards to this event. You evaluate the event as well. You analyze it, you conclude, and then you get some action plan. So an example I can use, if I describe that I filled an assignment, for example, what was I thinking, feeling? I was feeling stressed, I was feeling sad as well. In the evaluation, what was good or bad about the experience. So the bad obviously is the fact that I'm now more stressed. I've not got enough. I feel like I've been set back because obviously I might have to resubmit this assignment. What was good, I'm going to have to pause and seriously reflect on why I feel this assignment, and hopefully that will help me in analyzing what factors contributed to this. Okay, perhaps I took on too many projects. I said yes to everything that was put on my desk. Oh, I'm going to do that. Don't worry. I'm going to do that. Don't worry. And then I found myself having too many things I had delegated my time to. There's also the fact that I may not have prioritized my time properly or efficiently enough to make the time for my assignments. So in conclusion, what else could I have done? I could have prioritized better. I could have said no to, the projects that were put on my desk. And then action plan is, what would you do next time? So next time I will probably learn to say no more often, or, be careful about what I say yes to, and obviously pay more attention to how I prioritize projects that are on my desk. So that's an example of the Gibbs reflexive cycle. With the roll fee, I would use that in a case of, say, we had a supply issue where a lab consumable was delivered and the expiry date was within 3 weeks, for example. So I ordered 200 of this item. They were delivered, but they were going to expire in 3 weeks, in which time we could only ever use a maximum of maybe 30. So that's what's happened, which is here. So what? I will contact the company or the supplier and tell them what has happened. You've delivered this and it's expiring in 3 weeks, and you gave me 200. I'm not sure how I want to use all 200. I'm not sure if you checked this before you sent them to me, etc., etc. And then now what? In the so what, there will be some dialogue between myself and the supplier. And then in the now what, I will put like an alert on this particular supplier to say in the future, I would first of all check with the supplier, their stock levels and the expiry dates of what they have in stock before I place my order. Because at the end of the day, like I said, we all need to work harmoniously together, for the benefit of all stakeholders, and the supplier is a stakeholder. So that's where I would use that framework. With the AARs and the swarm huddle, like I said, it's used more in the wider trusts, but we have scientists have now gotten into doing this as well. So I did an AAR conductor training recently, and it's where you have to sort of look into an event that has happened within 6 weeks of that event happening. So if an incident happened, you, as a conductor, you need to get everyone that was involved in this incident together within 6 weeks. It's a meeting that lasts between 1 hour to 90 minutes. You set the ground rules, because obviously you will have people on different levels. So with the NHS banding system, for example, you would have band nines. You may even have very senior managers there, and you will also have band threes and band fours or five or six. So hierarchy is left out the door. The purpose is to learn. Time is managed properly by the conductor. There's no blame, and everyone talks about themselves, not they. It's I. I saw this, I did this, I went to. It's not so I saw this person. No, it's you, your account of the event. And we put it together to make sense of it. So in the reports, you're looking at a brief summary of the incident. You're looking at the additional background information shared. You're looking at summary of the key learning points. You're looking at the summary of the wider learning and the actions agreed. And you type that up and send it out to everyone that was involved in that incident. And in most cases, you will upload that onto the DATEX, because for that incident, there would be a DATEX. So it's the challenge with AARs is actually getting everyone together, because as you know, time is precious. So this is where the swarm huddle comes in. So us scientists here at Jessup Fertility, we engage more with swarm huddles. Swarm huddles are 15 to 30 minutes max. They happen usually immediately after an incident. And again, it's everyone involved coming together in one room, set the ground rules, and we all start a conversation one at a time. You usually have the swarm huddle lead that would tell the group who's talking next, and making sure that everything is focused on the incident that actually happened and nothing else. And a report is written almost immediately after that summarizes the incident, additional background information shared, summary of key learning points, and then your actions agreed. Actions agreed they will have timelines as well. So whoever was in that swarm huddle, one person will be delegated to complete the DATEX. Somebody else will be delegated to inform the nursing team about a change or a mitigation, and etc., etc. All of this will be uploaded onto DATEX as well, and also help with our QMS, which is the quality management system. And there will also be a track of it for the HFEA when they do come for an inspection, because we're not perfect. They will see that we may have made some mistakes over the years, or since the last time we were inspected. But what has happened when these errors have occurred? Have there been changes? Have we put mitigations in place, etc.? So it's always good to have all of this together, and they only come together nicely like this when we reflect on them. So in summary, the benefits I see from reflective practice are a better understanding of self, others, and our environment. It fosters self-awareness and emotional intelligence. You're engaged, you're talking to people a lot more. You're reading people as you're listening to them. You're reading the room, everyone in that room, especially if you're the conductor or the lead in all these discussions. It saves time over analyzing events and self-critiquing, which improves your critical thinking skills for complex situations and decision making and adaptability. You don't spend, because you're talking about what's happened as a group, you don't end up talking to A during lunch break and then talking to B at the end of the day and then talking to C on the bus, or it doesn't go that far. You've talked about what's happened there and then, and you will sort of move on, is what I find. It improves team dynamics and it builds resilience when you reflect on things that have happened. What then happens, especially in a team, is you can see things from the other person's point of view as well. Because sometimes without a reflective exercise, you may be asking yourself, what were they thinking? What was she thinking? What was he thinking? You know, and but then when you talk about things in a reflective manner, you will have all that understanding and it helps to build your team and build the resilience. Over time as well, you develop cognitive memory to practice reflection in action, which means you're reflecting as you're doing the action, not after. And that helps because that will prevent mistakes from repeating themselves. So it's a good practice. And you can actually predict or see all the different scenarios and the different outcomes whilst you're in that action. So that's one of the things that it helps with. And lastly, it does generate research questions. It does help with quality improvement project ideas, and it does drive innovation because you keep asking why, but why, but why. And eventually you go, okay, let's do an audit here. Okay, this might be a good research question. Okay, this might be a good project for quality improvement, etc. So these are the benefits that I've experienced through reflective practice. And then my last slide is just on the references.